fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
Military pilots have reported bizarre aircraft popping up around sensitive national security sites, and so have commercial pilots.
We just had something go right over the top of us.
Intelligence leaders in Congress like Senator Marco Rubio are growing increasingly concerned.
We don't know who they are. We don't know what it is. It isn't ours.
Well, if there's anything.
NASA Administrator Bill Nelson interviewed some of the military pilots who tracked them and then lost them.
They followed it, and then suddenly it would move in a direction faster than anything that they had ever seen.
The sightings picked up during the Obama administration.
We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory.
And then they picked up more through the Trump administration.
Movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for.
And Trump's director of national intelligence suggested it's picked up more than the public's been told.
There are a lot more sightings than have been made public.
The Pentagon ordered the Navy to investigate, but as government leaders examined emerging classified intelligence, the Biden administration escalated the investigation by forming a new dedicated unit. While we don't know what they know, we do know they've been concerned this could be the work of an adversary like China or Russia. And with the sightings over national security facilities, it raised concerns this summer that they could be spying on us.
Maybe it's a foreign adversary who's made a technological leap.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes we wonder whether or not our adversaries have technologies that are a little bit further down the road than we thought or that we realized.
There's something there. We just don't know what it is.
Do you think it could possibly be Russia or another foreign adversary?
That's why we need to find out. Because if there is an adversary with that kind of technology, then we definitely need to be very, very careful.
But over the past few weeks, lawmakers with access to intelligence have publicly moved away from that theory.
Well, I don't believe they're coming from foreign adversaries, and frankly, China and Russia just aren't there.
To something maybe out of this world.
If for some reason these came from another system, if you will, another alien society, that would make me more fascinated, not fearful.
Including NASA Administrator Nelson in this interview with the University of Virginia.
Who am I to say that planet Earth is the only location of a life form that is civilized?
Craig Patrick, Fox News.
Do you believe what you just heard? I mean, that is strong language from politicians. Joining me now is Jeremy Corbell, a UFO expert who's been doing a deep dive into this subject for some 20 years. Jeremy, great to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Okay, we've got guys like Bill Nelson and we've got Obama. We've got all kinds of people now saying, hey, we don't know what this stuff is. If you just step back for a minute and go, wow, that is an unbelievable statement.
That's right. You know, people can believe in UFOs, but UFOs are no longer a matter of belief. You have now been told by your representative government a lot of details about how we study UFOs, that our military funded these studies, and that it's an ongoing phenomenon with an increased frequency that represents craft of unknown origin that are far more advanced. These craft, they infiltrate, for lack of a better word, into our restricted airspace. They fly with impunity. And this is a national security issue for some people. And for me, it's a much bigger existential issue. You know, who are operating these craft? Who made them? Where are they from? What is the intent of those who pilot these?
It sounds like crazy talk, but it's not crazy anymore for the U.S. government. They're taking it deathly seriously because craft have been identified, videotaped, tracked by our military that no one can explain with the current knowledge of physics. Tarek question, but I'm going to ask it. You know, we're right in the middle of this Russia-Ukraine business, more kind of traditional warfare going on. Is this something where China, Russia, U.S. Would start to collaborate to try to figure out what's going on if we think there may be a threat otherworldly?
Right. So this is a very interesting question because there was at times collaboration between governments to look at these materials. And we learned more about the United States UFO programs from Russian classified documents that actually George Knapp smuggled back to the United States after Glasnost and Perestroika during that time period. And we learned and we read in there that at one time we were working together But as breakthroughs occurred in the material science aspect, we shut out other countries. So here's the deal. You'd like to think that humanity would come together and would work on the UFO problem in unison. But in fact, everybody is kind of jockeying for a technological advantage to protect their own nation and to get an upper hand. So right now, we do not, from my understanding, have any coordination between major nations. It is, in fact, a type of secret Cold War.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the ultimate kumbaya moment to bring the world together. If we thought there was something else out there that was truly an existential threat, potentially, it would bring nations together because they'd have no other choice.
This is something that President Reagan said at the UN in a very famous speech that, imagine if we had a threat not from Earth, how quickly it would bond humanity together as one. The reality is, unfortunately, human beings are still very primitive. They're very primitive psychologically. We are very primitive from a technological standpoint. It's just been in the last 150 years that we've really advanced to any degree technologically. Before that, human beings were doing the same thing over and over and over. So the kind of savage nature of humanity is that we are all looking for a leg up when it comes to combat and warfare. It has not brought us together other than through our curiosity.
Well, you think of the leap from the Wright brothers to flying to the moon. It's an incredible thing in 65, 70 years. It's unbelievable. All right, Jeremy, do the U.S. Defense Department officials believe that these pose a hostile intent? And does anybody even speculate why they might be probing civilization on this planet that's really, if this stuff is real, that's really in the dark ages? What would be the point?
Right. I mean, so first of all, the idea that we have to assess the level of threat to these unknowns, that's just a military perspective. That is a duty of our military. So absolutely, this is considered a national security threat because we don't know the intent, we don't know the capability, and we don't know the opportunity. So that's the kind of the triangle of defense that we're supposed to look at. So at this point, it is very fair to say that this is considered a national security threat. That doesn't mean that it is. However, UFOs have regularly displayed the ability to turn on or off our nuclear weapons. And this is something that is well documented and public information. There's a very famous case from Maelstrom Air Force Base where a saucer type craft comes over the base and turns on and off the nuclear weapons. So the ability to show that overt act of power is something that is taken very seriously by our government and other governments in the world where this has happened. So that's the first aspect to what you asked, and I forgot the second.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is now we're getting into the twilight zone, but I've got to ask it: if we've had craft actually go down where we've recovered materials, as you've said, these are unmanned, there's no life on board.
Well, that's not consistent with the reports. Some of the reports are that these are, drones of some sort, that there aren't occupants piloting them directly, that maybe they're piloted through an AI. But the majority of reports is that these are piloted craft.
Well, who's on board?
People, John, people from somewhere else. And when I say somewhere else, I mean somewhere else. Well, we don't know where they're from. Have they been here all along and just had a breakaway civilization that somehow, they've been here before us? Or it looks like from the way the craft propel, likely they're from much farther away from that. But there are also wild theories.
I've got to leave it there. Well, that'll leave people hanging.
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbell. Boy, we've touched the third rail. Thank you for being with us on Newsmaker
We have
Saturday.
touched the third rail, but here's the deal, John. Everybody should look at this and determine for themselves, this is real, it's happening. You're either aware of it or you're not. You've been told UFOs are real. So now what's up?